The Ministry of Truth would be proud. In George Orwell's 1984, Britain has been reduced to Airstrip 1, a decaying province of the superstate Oceania, its landscape dotted with rotting 19th century houses and perpetually threatened by rocket bombs. Today, as Prime Minister Keir Starmer unveils mandatory digital IDs while Sheffield opens new munitions factories, Orwell's dystopian vision feels less like fiction and more like a policy manual. The parallels are striking: a nation that serves as a military platform for a greater power, a surveillance apparatus that monitors its citizens' every move, and an arms industry that feeds endless conflicts across the globe. Welcome to modern Britain, or should we say, the UK, where a new managerial class presides over an increasingly fractured, low, trust society while transforming a once sovereign nation into the Western world's primary armaments factory and surveillance laboratory. The arsenal of democracies, deputy, Britain's role as Europe's premier arms manufacturer would make the Ministry of Peace proud. With 659 defence businesses generating £33 billion in annual sales, a quarter of Europe's total arms industry revenue, the UK has positioned itself as the continent's undisputed weapons workshop. BAE Systems alone commands £22 billion in sales, ranking as the world's third largest defence contractor. The recent opening of BAE Sheffield factory crystallises this martial transformation. Initially producing M777 155mm howitzers for Ukraine, the facility represents part of a £6 billion government commitment to munitions production, including £1.5 billion for an always-on ammunition pipeline. The irony is palpable: the M777 howitzer, though British designed, isn't even used by UK forces. It exists purely for export, a symbol of Britain's role as arms dealer to the world. This industrial complex extends far beyond Sheffield's factory floors. Rolls-Royce contributes another £4 billion in defence sales, while Babcock International adds £3 billion more. Together, these corporations form the backbone of what has become Europe's most militarised economy, one where prosperity increasingly depends on global conflict. The special relationship, Oceania and its airstrip, the UK-US special relationship, bears an uncanny resemblance to Airstrip 1's subservience to Oceania. American forces occupy British soil under terms that would make any sovereign nation blush. Through the 1973 cost-sharing arrangement, the US operates major installations like RF Mildenhall and RAF Lakenheath without paying traditional rent, instead covering only operational costs while Britain provides the land. Often for free, President Trump's recent state visit, his second, making him the first president granted such an honor twice, celebrated this dependency with characteristic bombast. The newly signed technology prosperity deal promises $350 billion in commercial outcomes, with the UK committed to purchasing $80 billion from American tech and defence companies. Google Cloud's £450 million contract to run the Ministry of Defence's systems completes the picture. British defence increasingly runs on American infrastructure, controlled by American corporations, serving American strategic interests. As one scholar observed about the proliferation of US air bases, in 19,980s Britain, the country has become what Orwell predicted, a massive aircraft carrier moored off the European coast. Its sovereignty dissolved into the greater whole of the Atlantic Alliance, the surveillance state, Big Brother's beta test. If Britain serves as Oceania's arsenal, it also functions as its surveillance laboratory. Starmer's mandatory digital ID system, the Brit Card, represents the most ambitious expansion of state monitoring since the inception of CCTV, which already makes Britain the most surveilled nation in the democratic world. By 2029, every working adult will require this digital identification to prove their right to employment, with the data centralized in government databases. The system, Starmer assures us, will combat illegal immigration and streamline services. Yet 2.8 million Britons have already signed petitions opposing what civil liberties groups call papers, pleas policing a foundation for a surveillance state. The timing is no coincidence. As facial recognition cameras proliferate across public spaces and police increasingly arrest citizens for offensive social media posts, the digital ID provides the missing piece, a comprehensive tracking system that links every transaction, movement, and expression to a central authority. Big Brother Watch and other civil liberties organizations warn that this infrastructure, once established, will prove impossible to dismantle. Tony Blair's shadow looms large over these initiatives. The former Prime Minister, whose own ID card scheme failed in the 2000s, now advises Starmer through his institute, promoting digital identity as an enormous opportunity. The same promises of efficiency and security that accompanied Blair's failed attempt now resurface, wrapped in the language of technological progress and public safety. The permanent war economy, like Orwell's Oceania, Locked in perpetual conflict with Eurasia and Eastasia, modern Britain has restructured its economy around endless war. The Ukraine conflict provides the latest rationale, but the pattern predates any single crisis. From Iraq to Afghanistan, Libya to Syria, British weapons flow to every theatre of conflict, generating profits that sustain entire regions of the country. The government's £6 billion munitions commitment isn't a response to crisis. It's an investment in permanence. The always-on ammunition pipeline assumes conflict as the natural state, peace as the aberration. Sheffield's new factory, designed for rapid expansion, prepares not for a war, but for all wars. Forever, this martial economy creates its own logic. Every international tension becomes an opportunity. Every peace negotiation a threat to quarterly earnings. The 220 proprietorship arms businesses scattered across Britain, more than any other European nation, depend on instability for their survival. Peace would mean economic catastrophe for communities built around death. The district manager of decline. In this context, Keir Starmer appears less as Prime Minister than as Orwell's predicted middle manager of decline, a district administrator for the UK province of a greater Atlantic empire. His policies follow a predictable pattern: increase surveillance, expand military production, deepen integration with American systems, and silence dissent through legal intimidation. The Labour Party that once opposed ID cards now champions them. The political tradition that questioned American military adventurism now hosts its base as Rent. Free, the movement that advocated for civil liberties, now oversees arrests for social media posts. This isn't betrayal. It's the natural evolution of a political class that has accepted its role as provincial administrators rather than national leaders. Starmer's technocratic language, digital transformation, strategic partnership, defense innovation echoes the newspeak of Orwell's regime. Complex realities reduced to simple slogans. Surveillance becomes safety. Military dependency becomes special relationship. Economic militarization becomes strategic industry. Conclusion: the province of Oceania, modern Britain, has become what Orwell warned against: a surveillance state that monitors its citizens while serving as an arsenal for foreign wars. Its sovereignty dissolved into a special relationship that resembles colonial administration more than alliance. The rotting 19th century houses Orwell described might have been rebuilt, but the spiritual decay remains. A once proud nation reduced to manufacturing weapons for others' conflicts while submitting its own citizens to ever increasing control. The mandatory digital IDs rolling out by 2029, the facial recognition cameras scanning every street corner, the prosecution of citizens for online speech. These aren't unfortunate side effects of modernity, but deliberate choices by a political class that has accepted its role as middle management for a global empire. The UK produces the weapons, provides the bases, implements the surveillance, and enforces the orthodoxy, all while its leaders speak of sovereignty and democracy, as Sheffield's production lines begin manufacturing shells for Ukraine, as American commanders coordinate operations. From British bases they occupy for free, as millions of Britons soon surrender their biometric data for the right to work. Orwell's vision completes itself. Airstrip 1 exists not in fiction, but in fact, a military platform and testing ground for authoritarian technology managed by district administrators who've forgotten they once governed a nation, not a province. The Ministry of Truth would indeed be proud. War is peace. Endless weapon production ensures security. Freedom is slavery. Digital chains guarantee efficiency. Ignorance is strength. And those who question the transformation of Britain into Oceania's arsenal are extremists, conspiracists, or worse. Welcome to Airstrip 1, where the only growth industry is death. The only expanding freedom is surveillance, and the special relationship means special servitude. Orwell didn't write a warning. He wrote a prophecy.